Hey everyone, hope you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis update of commodities, work our way through the dollar, yields, precious metals, and commodities and ETFs that I follow, and I'll give you my financial opinions. If you guys need any help with anything, definitely check out finding-value.com over there. Become a platinum member. You can have a discount using the word discount in the coupon code if you'd like to join. We do have a question and answer session on Sunday at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time if you're a member and you want to join it. So let's dive in. Let's take a look and see what's going on with the market. So we've got the dollar here, the DXY, slightly lower today. To me, it looks like this is going to continue to the upside for the dollar by looking at the candlesticks. This down day today isn't a large down candlestick. It's not a reversal candlestick, so I think it's probably a continuation pattern to the upside. I call it the bloody nose. And that bloody nose is a continuation to the upside. Higher yields generally manifest themselves with a higher dollar. I mean, not every single day, but just generally speaking. So the 2-year yield, slightly higher today. We've been heading on up this past week or so. We've also had higher with the 10-year yield. You can see the past week or so, very strong candlestick this past week. And the 30-year yield also breaking this pattern to the upside. Very strong week this past week. Higher yields, higher dollar, generally speaking. That results in a headwind for precious metals. Not so much for oil and some of these other assets, but definitely for precious metals. The TYX-TNX ratio is flat today. Bigger picture view this past week, we were down in that ratio. That is a headwind for gold, gold specifically. But that doesn't mean that we can't go higher. Doesn't mean that the trend is necessarily done. Just means this past week that we were lower in this ratio. It was a headwind for gold itself. Bond prices definitely look like they want to fall. And we're breaking out of this pattern, perhaps. And we'll see if this weakness continues, if we head lower. So, again, I think that the trends are in place. And maybe this is tied to the debt ceiling stuff. Very well could be. So if there's a resolution in the debt ceiling, there could be a change in behavior for bond prices and yields. But at this time, lower bond prices, higher yields. Gold heading higher today, up $19, showing strength. We are still above support. And we could still even fall lower into this area of lower $1,900 and still be okay and still above support. So long-term, big picture view, gold still looks good. Silver still looks good. We're up 1.5. We're right on support. There we are on support for silver. And that support line is this big trend line coming across down here. And we're right on that support line. Platinum up $13, up 1.24%. Platinum still looking good as well. Nothing to worry about in any of the precious metals. And there's the support line there. XAU to gold ratio down a little bit, down 0.56%. We saw yields shoot higher. We saw the ingredients for a headwind for gold, and it's hitting the gold and silver mining companies as well. Looking at the CRB index is holding up all right. It was up today, and we'll see if we can break to the upside here eventually. Bigger picture view, this is your wave 1, this is your wave 2, and then eventually we'll put in the bottom of wave 2 and start wave 3 at some point here in the future. CRB to S&P 500, we're still holding on strong down here. And we'll see if that 0.618 Fibonacci retracement level holds up. And that's generally where you bottom in a wave 2 bottom. It generally correlates with 0.618. It doesn't mean every single time it correlates with that. We very well could break down to here and be somewhere in the 0.786 to 0.618, anywhere in between here. Then we roll on higher for wave 3. Wave 3 is the big wave in bull markets. So GDX, looking at the companies, you can see that we bounced off this resistance line. We're still within the pattern, haven't broken out yet. And here we are pulling on back. GDXJ, we're up against support. And there's that support line that runs through the bottom of this guy. We're right on top of it. And then SILJ, again, we've fallen back a little bit below the support level, but again, we'll see if it holds up. But we have pulled back this past week or so. Crude oil, basically flat. We have a bloody nose today that will work its way higher. Still looking good for a move on up. Very much bullish crude oil. And big picture view, guys, this thing looks fantastic from a big picture view on a basically return retest move. So we broke out back here, came back, did a retest. Wave 3 will come eventually, and it'll be a big old move to the upside. Natural gas also down slightly today with that little bloody nose that generally works its way higher. It's a little bloody nose. Big tall candlestick with a small red one. That's what this one is here. We're getting that stair-stepping pattern going on. We'll see if natural gas continues higher. XOP, yeah, you know me. Again, slightly lower. Well, momentum's a little bit lower. We're up 0.19%. But that's a bloody nose. We'll see if we can keep that momentum to the upside, if we can keep it. Bigger picture view, do we have a shoulder boom to the upside where we can have a big old upside in the future out of this? OIH also slightly higher today, right on resistance. So we're getting a little bit of resistance there right on top of it. Sprott Physical Uranium Trust up 0.6%. If it decides to join us, there we go. So there we are today. We hit our head on this resistance level, and we're coming on back a little bit, and we'll see if we can punch through here at some point soon. URNM, doing the same thing as the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust. Slightly lower on the week. We were up a little bit today, but we're right underneath that resistance. We'll see if we can punch through it. And URNJ, it's following URNM, up 0.72%, just moving sideways. It's looking all right. TAN down a little bit. This guy has been grinding for a while here. We're right on support. Again, big picture view. The left side generally looks like the right side. Cut this in half. That side is the way that this will go up. And I'm looking for, maybe we get one last little dip like this guy there before heading higher. It's basically symmetrical because when you go up, you hit the same resistance levels as the left-hand side. COPX, this does look like it wants to go lower in the short term, so I do think that this could go down for COPX. There's more momentum to the downside than upside, and there's no green army on the right-hand side here yet. Lithium still in its pattern here. A lot of the patterns get this large move up, it consolidates for a while, and then we get a big old move to the upside, wave 3. REMX doing the same thing. This is actually looking strong. We're right on resistance. We'll see if we punch through and work our way up. Is wave 3 right in front of us? It could be. It could be. It doesn't mean we can't grind longer inside these patterns for another couple months. If you're a bull, it's preferable to grind a little bit longer and accumulate more in this tip of these patterns. S&P 500 down slightly, but still looking strong. We're right at resistance. Still looking like it's got the beef. So we've got the NASDAQ composite here, another one. It's a bloody nose. Continuation pattern to the upside, still looking strong. It's holding together quite well. Emerging markets, sideways. We need the dollar to get weaker here for emerging markets to really take off. Weakness will come from yields. So when yields drop and the dollar drops, they'll drop together. I suspect that emerging markets will go higher. That's what we're waiting for. XHB down 1.71%. I know we've got a lot of people saying that the housing market is going to crash. Maybe that's the case. I just like to see the inventory levels go up for me to say, yeah, that's definitely going to crash. Right now, it's been very resilient. And I think their argument is on affordability and demand. That's where their argument stems from. Moo, again, I think Moo is going to head lower in the medium term, short medium term. You can see this thing starting to sell off. I think it wants to migrate back to low 70s, so $70 or something like that. That would be a great spot to be looking for additional shares. This is the agribusiness ETF, and I think it will be a good entry point at that time. Copper up 0.92%. Copper's it's broken to the downside. That's that big candlestick here, and it's just been consolidating sideways. So again, we've got the pull there, so it's probably going to break eventually to the downside, signaling further weakness in the economy. It doesn't mean that other commodities or precious metals can't go higher. Precious metals like that setup. They like lower yields because a weakening economy are typically associated with weaker yields. And we would have to see an inflationary, we'll call it an inflationary recession, stagflation, for that environment to be different, which would be much like the 1970s. If that's the case, gold's going to go higher with yields. And if that is the case, we could also see commodities go higher. It might not be copper, or it might because of the supply-demand balance in copper. Copper's a difficult one to get right here in the short term because you've got supply problems along with a weakening economy. Iron ore, here we are just moving sideways, still looks good. Lots of buying pressure, not much selling pressure. And we've also done this kind of return move, and we're above a bunch of support. So iron ore probably to the upside is what I'm thinking. Nickel holding in there. But again, remember, if the economy weakens, I do think some of these base metals could weaken if we see copper continue to fall and the economy get a little bit weak. Aluminum moving sideways. Here, of course, I put another fractal on top of it of something else. But again, we are slightly higher today, and it's holding in there. We'll probably bounce around a little bit. Baltic Dry Index down a little bit. Again, I think eventually this will grind its way on up. We might see a return move in the short term, but overall, it'll be resilient. And then Newcastle Coal Futures, slightly lower. I think we're going to grind here for a little bit, base out, consolidate, and then work our way back up. We're working off this momentum to the downside first. Ethereum up 0.6%. Again, I think we're going to go higher here overall because we've broken out of this basing pattern to the upside, and we're consolidating before the breakout. Bitcoin's doing the same exact thing. We've broken out of this. We're consolidating above it, and it'll eventually probably work its way higher. But that's what we've got for the markets today right now, guys. I think oil looks really good. As weird as it is, I think it's trying to put in a bottom here and work its way higher. I think natural gas might be doing the same thing. Precious metals look good, sitting on top of patterns. I would say copper looks a little bit weak. Some of the base metals still look a little bit weak. So we've got kind of a mixed bag going on here. Some of the economic tied stuff looks a little bit weak. Some of the late stage performers in a business cycle are looking all right. So that's what I've got for today, guys. And again, give me a thumb up, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the website if you guys are interested. All right, guys, we'll catch you later. This is Finding Value.